welcome to the 2022 March episode of the Not Quite Enough Yarn podcast. My name's Leslie and this is a podcast, it's my dog shaking, it's a podcast about yarn, spinning, crochet, anything yarny. I'll have a go. Hope you're all well. Thank you for all the comments and the thoughts on last month's podcast. I also have a weekly vlog, Not Quite Enough Distance, and I know some of you watch that as well, so thank you. That goes up every Friday. This goes up every month. I record throughout the month and then put it up on YouTube on the last weekend of each calendar month. So what else can I say? It's called Not Quite Enough Yarn because I rarely have enough to make a complete garment out of the same colour. I have a lot of yarn, 3 cupboards worth, trying to get it down a little bit, but yeah, rarely enough to make a whole garment. So I do a lot of adding a stripe, putting in a block, moving things around so that I can put lots of colours in. So that's why it's not quite enough yarn. What else can I say? Spring. The sun is shining. Let's make the most of that. This month I have been very lucky because I have won prizes. I won a pattern prize from Amanda of Mouse's Makes, a pattern prize. And I'll put the picture here of the one I chose, which is the Eureka by Nicola Susen. I'm currently working on her Catty Corner. Hopefully I'll have that finished by the end of this month and be able to show it to you. I feel I'm very close. So I wanted to try another one of her patterns, so that was my prize, so thank you, Amanda. And also Chevy Rail stuff, I won a prize from her as well. So I'm going to put in some footage here of me opening that prize, and also I received some happy mail from lovely Moira, who's a viewer, so I will put that in here and you can see all the lovely things being opened up. Hello lovelies. I've been a very lucky girl recently. Completely out of the blue, a parcel from Moira in Sterling. Thank you, Moira. You're just so kind. Last year, Moira sent me some stuff. She got in touch and asked if she could send some stuff. This says, Happy Easter. And just please accept these things as a small token of appreciation. She also said she's going to do the Great North Run. Well, she has done the Great North Run. No, it's in September. So, very good luck with that. Great North Run is a half marathon in Newcastle. Huge race, lots of people competing. So, Moira, good luck with that. But she just sent me this parcel of stuff, including some confectionery, some blonde s'mores fudge, and Moira has made these beautiful, beautiful mitts. So we've got the braid on there, they're in my drumming colours, they have the fold over top. Now, they're in my drumming colours and will certainly be used for drumming, but actually these would be great burial gloves as well. Sorry, but you know, you're outside, it's cold, but I can still turn the pages when I'm reading my words. And they are just so beautifully made, they really are. So we've got a fold over cuff there, Latvian braid, fit beautifully. Thank you so much, you are so kind. But that's not all! My goodness, we got some little, they say handmade, little tags to attach to one's items. Some red bows, red haberdashery bows. We've got this fabulously colourful braid. Just all such wonderful, generous things. And also, oh, there were 2 things of the 2 packets of the red bows, all over my drumming costume, of course, and a copy of Knitting Magazine as well. So, Moira, thank you. I really don't know what to say beyond thank you, thank you, thank you. It feels words are inadequate, but I'm very grateful to you. It's so kind. And yeah, just huge thanks. But that's not all, because my luck continues, and this is going to be a live unbagging. I have just cut the top of the bag. This purple bag, if you follow a certain Chevy Rails podcast, you'll know that this is one of the prizes. And that was her 10,000 subscriber giveaway. So thanks, Chevis, and congratulations, and very well deserved. So I am going to pull these things out one by one. Oh, I'm having a feel. Oh, wow. My goodness. So we have here Fibre in red and black. Flannel cakes, delicious fibres, 0 calories, flannelcakes.com, Voodoo, 4 ounces, 80% merino, 20% flax. Wow, this is kind of showing up the colour pretty well. It feels amazing. It feels pretty soft, but with a kind of substance to it. It's not soft as in cloud, it's soft, but there's a definite bit of kind of body in there. Oh, that's amazing. Oh, Shevers, thank you so much. Oh, goodness. Oh, so, Chevy Rail. And again, if you don't watch Chevy Rail, why not? Get in there. So happy to pull your name. Thanks for being an OG, because I've been watching Chevers for some time. Because she's amazing. She really is. So what is... Oh, a little pouch. A little notions pouch. Oh, that's a neat little thing. That is a very neat little thing. That is a good idea, because I'm forever losing things because I've got them in too big a container, but this is fab. So thank you for that. I don't know what we've got here. Yarned and Dangerous. So this is from We're Into It. We're Into It products are hand lettered and designed by Boston-based designers Amelia and Natasha. I have on my wall here a big clip frame which I have different postcards and things like that in. So I think this will be going onto my clip frame. Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you, Chevers. Oh, just very excited. So thank you so much. I am an extremely lucky girl. Oh, lovely. Aren't I a lucky girl? I feel like I should have more admin. It's because I'm not running a make along at the moment. I usually talk about that. Maybe next month. I'll have a think. I do have some fibre to give away, which I will draw the names at the end of the month and put that up later in the podcast. So if you've commented on last month's podcast, you'll be in the draw, and good luck. I have a couple of finished objects, and this is something that's been on the radar for a couple of years, because it was February a couple of years ago. I conducted a funeral. I'm a funeral celebrant for someone that I know, and therefore didn't charge a fee. And the person very kindly bought me an Attic 24 blanket kit. So it was this enormous ball of yarn. A bag of yarn, rather. The yarn was King Cole Cottonsoft. And regular viewers will know that King Cole is probably one of my favourite commercial yarns. I find the quality very good for the price, and the Cottonsoft was no exception. Lived up to its name, absolutely. It's a DK weight yarn, and it is very, very soft. Rather lovely. So I started making the pattern on the kit, which was a ripple blanket. Lovely pattern, but I just wasn't getting on with it. I like crochet blankets to be fairly mindless. They're the sort of project I just want to have over my legs, keep me warm, keep going round and round or back and forth without having to think, oh, which colour am I supposed to use next? Am I doing the chevrons properly? You know, I just really wanted something very, very simple. So I put it to one side because I just wasn't enjoying making it, and I felt really bad because I'd been bought this kit and the person who bought it said, you know, we wanted to get you this so that every time you curl up under the blanket you'll think of us, which is a lovely idea. But I thought, I am not making this. I think we all do this. We all kind of just have that moment of resistance where we put something to one side and we think, I'm not doing that. I'll do something else. I would rather do this other thing. And then you realise that thing gets forgotten and forgotten and forgotten. And I found I was just resisting working on it. So I thought, well, this is stupid because I have this lovely kit, this lovely yarn, everything's lovely, so I should make something. So I decided to make the Which Way Filet blanket, which is a YouTube on, no, it's a tutorial on YouTube. It's not a YouTube on tutorial, it's a tutorial on YouTube. I will link it down below. It's by Fibre Spider, and it is a really lovely pattern to work. It is my new go-to. I used to do granny squares for baby blankets and that sort of thing. I like this one now. I just find it, because the patterning on it, it just makes it a little bit more interesting. So I like it very much, but it is simple enough. You only have to count to 6. So that I can do whilst watching television, listening to books, watching YouTube videos, what have you. So what I did was unpick the work that I'd done on the blanket and then laid it all out in rainbow, red, orange, yellow, so forth, or as close to it as the colours would allow. And I thought, I'm just going to make a rainbow blanket because I love rainbows. Rainbows are a good thing. In the meantime, I don't know if it was last month or the month before, I made a bath mat with some of it. I wanted to do Mosaic Crochet. I wanted to give that a try as my new to you skill at the beginning of this month. That was part of a make along. And I used some of this yarn because it's 100% cotton, so I thought perfect for a bath mat. So if you'd watched a couple of months ago, you'd have seen it, but here's a picture. And the rest became this blanket. Ta-da! I should do this as a sort of clever reveal now. The moment's gone, but there we go. So as you can see, it's quite a big one. It's actually come out at just over 6 feet square. And I'll put a picture here of it laid out on my sofa so that you can see it in its full width and depth. And you can also see on this that my dog was not going to move just because I wanted to take a photograph of the blanket. She was comfortable, she was going nowhere. You can see who rules this house, can't you? The point was made by a viewer about having different size stripes, different widths of stripes because your blanket is getting bigger. That doesn't bother me in the slightest. There's also a bit of variation in that because some of the yarns in the kit had 2 balls rather than 1 because of the way the colours were placed and the border and so forth in the original pattern. So some of the stripes are wider because they're closer to the middle, and some are wider because there was more yarn involved. And similarly, there's only 1 stripe of the, I believe it's the mint colour, because I use most of that on the bath mat. So, you know, I'm kind of free-flowing with it. But yes, here it is. It has a lovely drape to it, being cotton. I worked it on a 4mm needle, a hook, which I would normally use for double knitting weight yarn. And I just did each round until I was running out of yarn. Sometimes I got kind of 3/4 of the way and had to take it back. And then I finished it with a crab stitch edging. So that's just double crochet UK terms, single crochet US terms, but worked, because I'm a right-handed crocheter, worked anti-clockwise rather than clockwise. Obviously if you were left-handed, you'd do it that way around. Yeah, so this is my lovely blanket. I also had some oddments left, and I'd made a mistake. There is a violet colour, which in my rainbow should have gone about here, but it's quite a bit darker in shade, and it probably would have been okay, but I felt it would jar a little, and I forgot to put it in. I think, you know, I shouldn't pretend this was a plan, it was an error. But I decided to use all of the oddments to make a hand towel. Again, it's 100% cotton, so it's ideal for that kind of project. So this started as a corner to corner rectangle. So you can see I followed the same colour sequence and just worked my way up as I had bits left over. I really was making this up as I went along, which is why it's ended up sort of, the initial part, if you can imagine the bit between my hands here, was quite narrow and long, because I just wasn't thinking as I made it. So I thought, well, that's okay, because I can use this purple for a border. So I closed off the rectangle, used what was left of the green to go 2 sides round, no, 3 sides round. Then I joined the purple and just went round and round. Because I wanted to slightly amend the shape, make it wider in relation to its length, I used double crochet stitches, so single crochet on the short ends and trebles or double crochets on the long sides. So a little bright hand towel that will probably live in either my downstairs cloakroom or possibly my kitchen. I haven't decided yet. But I've used up pretty much all of the yarn. I have a tiny ball of the purple left. I'll probably cut it and use it as ties for my handspun, because cotton works quite well for that, because it doesn't stick to itself too well. So I am very happy with this project. I was a little bit worried about getting in touch with the lady who'd bought me the yarn and said, look, I hope you don't mind, but I sent her pictures of all 3 things to show that I had used pretty much every inch, and she was fine about it. So I have a lovely blanket, a big one. I really like the way the colours have just sort of faded into each other. I can take absolutely no credit for the colour choice, because it was this kit, so it came to me as a complete thing. The only thing I can take credit for is the order in which I placed the colours, and that was straightforward rainbow. So no real talent involved, and that's my favourite sort of project. Looks fab, not requiring much talent at all. That works for me well. So to remind, this is the Which Way Filet pattern by Fibre Spider. I will link it below, and it's made out of King Cole, Cottonsoft, double knitting. The colours were a kit for an Attic 24 ripple blanket. I'm very pleased to have this done. It's a lot of yarn used. It's a project that was kind of playing on my mind because it had been hanging around for a couple of years, and I'd had this real halting in the middle where I'd sort of resisted working on it. But I've ended up with a blanket that I really like, and I love the colours. So thank you to the lady who bought me the kit, and thank you for watching. More later. Cheers. Hello lovelies. This will be a fairly short end of video, and therefore probably quite a short video. I have the Rona, as you can probably hear. So I'm not feeling too bad. I've had a couple of nights of not sleeping well, but last night I slept much better, and actually most of yesterday I slept quite well, so feeling much better than I was, but I won't torture you with this voice for too long. Firstly, the giveaway, the fibre giveaway. Thank you to those who put either green or purple in the comments. The green fibre, which is from
Coral Rose fibre. That was won by M. Boll. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. So congratulations to you. And the purple was won by Marie Pickard. Again, congratulations. I have messaged you both. I have replied to your comment on YouTube. But if you're able to either DM me or email me or whatever and let me know your postal address, I will get that in the post to you. Obviously, right now I can't go to a post office. So once I'm clear of the dreaded, I will get those in the post to you. So thank you to everyone who took part. Thank you to the 2 people who gave me the fibre to give away. You are much appreciated. And I hope the winners enjoy spinning with your fibre when you get it. Now I have one more finished object. And this is a sweater. This is the Catty Corner by Nicola Susen. And whenever I hold this up, it looks odd because it is a very strange construction. Strange is a derogatory term, potentially. It's a very unusual construction. But that's part of its appeal, I think. I think it's best if you hold it up by the armpits. A bit like small children. Yes, this is what I've never had any. So this is the Catty Corner, and you can see you've got this unusual neck. I'm not wearing it at the moment because it's quite warm here today. I will put some photographs in of me wearing it, but for some reason my camera decided that the room I was in was much darker than I thought it was. So you can see you've got this slightly asymmetrical neck, and the way it increases, I'm not going to give too much away because it's a paid for pattern, but it increases in 4 places, 1, 2, and then the same on the back, 3, 4. So it's one of those patterns that you don't have to swatch for, which is always a bonus. You take a couple of measurements, then you start with just a few stitches. You start with this section here, a bit like starting off a shawl, and then you follow the instructions, which are very simple. Follow the instructions and it tells you when to increase and when to stop. A few clever touches on it. Again, I don't want to give too much away, but if you're after an unusual sweater construction, it's one that's worth looking into. So it ends up with a sort of raglan. And it just works down. There are increases down the body so that, and it gives you choices of how much you want to increase. So, you know, how regularly you want to increase, so that you can have a sort of A-line effect or a more sort of floaty, flared effect. But of course, it's your sweater. You can do what you like, as I did. So, I was getting bored. Not because there's anything wrong with the pattern, but because I'm very easily bored. Anyone who's made a top-down sweater will know that when you're getting to the point just before you split for the sleeves, you're dealing with some quite long rounds and it can get a little sluggish. So I decided to pep things up by adding a few colours. So this was just a few single row stripes using some yarn that I had in the stash bucket, the scrap bucket. So that's what I did there. I then did that towards the bottom to even things up. And then I decided that I wanted a kind of lace edging on the bottom. So rather than keep knitting down and doing a rib or something like that, I wanted the sort of lace that you work sideways and cast off at the same time. Inspired by, oh, don't know what happened there, my Shawl by Marce. And it's the same sort of principle that you cast off by working this lace edging. So working on that theory. Now I wanted a slightly deeper edging for the sweater. I could have adapted this particular pattern and just done a few rows of just straight knitting, a few stitches of straight knitting with that at the edge. But I had a look through at the patterns that I have in my library, And there's a shawl pattern called In the Pink. I'll put a picture in here, and it has quite a deep edging. So I thought that's the edging that I will use for my sweater. Now, because it's all in black, this really isn't going to show up well. But again, I've got photographs of it that I'll put in here so you can see what's happened. So it's quite a familiar looking edging. The Close to You shawl has a similar kind of look. It's that kind of slightly serrated edge with some eyelets type edging. Very attractive. And I put it on the bottom of this sweater. It did mean that it has a slight peplum effect. So I have pressed this down to make it as smooth as possible. It's not the end of the world. But it has given that slight ridge and drop from there. So it's a little bit peplum. But not something that I'm going to worry about. I mean, that might be the look you're going for. In my case, I wasn't. So the yarns, the main yarn, which are the grey, 2 greys into black, are Serda Candy Swirl. No, not Serda, Stylecraft, sorry. The Rona doesn't just affect your voice. Stylecraft Candy Swirl in the Licorice Swirl colourway. Now, it's a double knitting weight yarn, and I've used some before. This was one of those purchases, and I can't be the only person who does this. You go into a yarn shop. Now, this was a yarn shop in Cornwall when I was visiting my nephew and his family. And my battery's about to run out. I thought I'd just put a new one in. Let me swap things over. Now, what did I say about my brain also being affected? Because I had taken the battery out of the camera, got the other battery out, put the other battery in the charger, and put this one back in the camera. It's going to be a long week. So I was in Cornwall visiting nephew and family, and near to them is a little yarn shop, and I'd been in there before and got a couple of local hand-dyed yarns. So I thought, oh, I'll go back in there if they're open. They seem to be one of these shops that's never open when you expect them to be, but I thought if they're open, I'll go in and have another look. Well, I went in there, and there was this young sales assistant who was terribly keen, not terribly knowledgeable, but terribly keen. And I looked around, and they didn't have anything of the kind of hand-dyed. Not that I only ever want hand-dyed, but my idea was I was away from home, so I wanted to get something that you would only get, you know, that was a local yarn. They didn't have anything. It was only commercial yarns, and I thought, oh gosh. But because this young sales assistant was so kind of nice and keen, I thought, I've got to buy something. I can't be the only person who does that. So I ended up buying this Stylecraft Candy Swirl, because I thought in greys and blacks, useful colours, can be used for anything. So it's been in the stash for a couple of years. I used some to make a hat for himself a while ago, but yeah, we're all good. So most of this is the Stylecraft, and I knew that I wouldn't have quite enough yarn. Hey, I had enough for a blanket and some spare. I don't want to let you down. I've got to stick to brand. So when I ran out of the Stylecraft, I used some Rialto DK, which is a Debbie Bliss. Yes, it is. So from about there downwards is Rialto. Now the Candy Swirl has its own stripes, and that's quite good. The only thing is there is no fading from one stripe to the other. So when you get a colour change, it looks like you've, I'm trying to find the example of it now. It looks like you've changed a ball, changed yarn halfway through a round. So you've got this kind of little leap here, where it's gone from the grey to the black. Yeah, I mean, it's not ideal, but this is a sweater that is mostly going to be worn kind of around the house when I'm working at home and it's chilly. And it was as much to try out the pattern as anything else. Now I think I am likely to use the pattern again, because I did like making it very much. I know I got bored, but I did like making it very much. And I was intrigued as to how it all worked, which I now feel kind of comfortable with. So my brain is already kind of whirring with ideas of what else I can do with this pattern, using this as a structure, and then trying other things. Because you don't swatch, because you don't swatch, you don't have to use a specific weight of yarn, you don't have to use a specific type of yarn. It is really entirely up to the knitter how they adapt that pattern for themselves. So you can make something very plain and practical, you can make something very experimental. Yeah, you're cool. So that's the Catty Corner by Nicola Susen. There are a few of her patterns. Some of her patterns you do need to swatch. There are some, I think they're called Maximum Freedom or Super Freedom or something like that, where you don't have to swatch. You just start and then you measure as you go, and because of the measurements you've already taken, she tells you how to adapt that, you know, when to stop, when to change. So yes, although I got bored, that's because I'm easily bored, it is actually quite an enjoyable pattern, and one that I am extremely likely to do again. So I think that is going to be it for this month. I shall croak off somewhere else. Oh dear. Yes, it's been an interesting week so far. I thought I had a cold. I'd had a cold last week. I thought I had another one this week. And luckily, because I've been quite busy with work, luckily because I thought I had a cold, I was masking up I wear masks a lot anyway, but I was being very careful. If anyone wanted to come and talk to me, I'd say, look, I've got a cold, I don't want to give it to you, you know. So I hope I haven't passed it on to many, if any, because I have been trying to keep my distance, not thinking it was coronavirus, but lateral flow test ×2 tells me it is. I'm waiting for my PCR to arrive, so I'll do that to confirm, but this we know. Does mean I'm going to miss a concert on Monday, which is a real shame. Himself and I were meant to be going to see Bare Naked Ladies at the Royal Albert Hall. I was going to take you with me and show you the Royal Albert Hall. Unfortunately, I can't go. I've said to himself if he's clear, you know, he should go, but he's decided not to, so understandable. Yeah, so that's a real shame, especially as it's the third time of it being booked, because it was meant to be 2 years ago, then it got rescheduled for last year, finally happening this year, and I can't go. But never mind, it could be a lot worse. So yes, I've got a week at home, an unplanned week at home. Now this will be quite interesting because I am a bit of a devil for overfilling my time. And if I know I've got some time kind of blocked out with no work or no other commitments, I tend to fill it with stuff, because there's always something to do, you know, something in the house, craft thing, there's always something. And suddenly this has come out of the blue. You know, yesterday was a day off that I hadn't been expecting. I was meant to be taking a ceremony, which thankfully someone was able to stand in for me. I could just send them all the words and be done. So that will be quite interesting as to how I do. I'm hoping that I will do the sensible thing and just kind of listen to my body, listen to how I'm feeling. I was doing that yesterday. I had sort of 3 times when I went to bed and just had an hour or 2 sleep, because that's what I needed. So hopefully I will do that and rest. The better I rest, the quicker I'll recover. This we know, but the temptation is to be busy. So I'm going to try and not be busy and just rest, cuddle the dog, and just take it easy. So that's it for March. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all your comments and thoughts. I really love to hear from you. I hope you're all doing okay. I know some of you lovelies have also had COVID. I hope you've made a good recovery. I hope you're okay. Next month, the last weekend, the 30th is a Saturday, and that's probably when I'll put the podcast up. When it falls over, when the change of the month falls over a weekend. Sometimes I do it a week early. I think realistically it's going to be on the 30th of next month. And spring is springing. It has been a lovely weather week this week, actually. It's been very warm. I think that's due to change. I think it's going to get a bit colder again. But we've had a lot of sunshine and it has felt very bright, lots of daffodils and other flowers out. So it has felt bright and cheery. So let's hope that continues. With regard to the rest of the world, we know that it feels like we're all going into hell in a handcart when you watch the news. I am not in a position to comment. I have no expert knowledge and I just want to wish everyone well. If you are worried about someone in a war zone, I hope that you hear from them soon and that they are okay, because it's a scary, scary time. But keep well, look after yourselves. I hope you get the time to do the crafting that you enjoy and that life treats you kindly. Thanks everyone. Take care. Bye bye.